Some people go their whole lives never getting humbled. I watched a 19-year-old lose everything in 43 minutes, and the worst part is, he asked for it out loud. I spent 3 summers at a family-owned lumberyard off the county highway. The owner, Ken, was decent but almost never there, and his son Dalton had appointed himself the face of the company. Dalton was 19 and had business cards printed that said, Operations Manager. He showed up around 10 in a lifted truck he parked sideways across the 2 loading spots by the door, so every contractor had to back around him. He sat in the office with his feet up until 2, then left. If a customer asked him something, he'd sigh like they'd interrupted him. He left his cups on the counter for the cashiers, and once told a woman returning a cracked planter that she should try reading before buying things. Then there was Elias, 56, ran the yard, 22 years in. He cut boards, loaded trailers, and knew where every item lived without looking it up. He hummed constantly. He knew our regulars by name and their kids' names, and kept a cooler of freeze pops behind the saw station for whenever somebody brought a kid along. He never complained about the heat, and it got brutal in August. Dalton hated him. I think it bothered him that customers asked for Elias instead of him. One afternoon, Dalton brought 2 friends out to the yard, showing them around like he owned it. Elias was measuring cedar for a deck order. Dalton pointed at him. "This guy," he said, 22 years cutting up other people's wood. Imagine that being your whole life." His friends laughed. Elias kept his pencil moving. "I'm talking to you," Dalton said, louder. "You ever think about getting a real job, or is this it?" Elias set the pencil down and turned around. He wasn't angry. He had this patient look, the kind you give a kid about to learn something. "You want to trade for a day?" he asked. Dalton laughed so hard he grabbed the fence. "You think I can't do this? I could do your job half asleep." "Then prove it," Elias said. "Tomorrow I take the office, you take the yard. $400 says you don't make it to lunch." The friends went quiet, then started nudging him, whispering that it was free money. Backing out in front of them wasn't an option. "Deal, old man." Ken had walked onto the dock behind them and heard all of it. Everybody expected him to shut it down. Instead, he crossed his arms and said, "Under my supervision, both of you." I think he'd been waiting years for the excuse. The next morning hit 94 degrees before 9. Dalton showed up in brand new boots. Elias handed him the pull sheet and gloves and walked inside. Dalton lasted 43 minutes. He pinched 2 fingers under a bundle of pressure-treated 6x6s, cut an order 11 inches short, and tried to sell it anyway, then sat in his truck with the AC running, while a contractor waited 20 minutes on framing lumber. Meanwhile, Elias was in the office. Here's what none of us knew. He'd run his own contracting company for 11 years before the crash in 2009 took it out from under him. 3 crews, commercial work. He took the yard job to keep his house and never left because he liked it here. He read our quoting system in 10 minutes. By 11, he'd found we'd been underbilling delivery past 15 miles for 2 years and that a whole decking bundle had been priced below cost since spring. He got on the phone with a builder threatening to pull his account and had him laughing by the end of the call. At lunch, Dalton was in the office begging his dad to call it off. Elias walked in with a stack of corrected invoices and set them down. "About that 400, he said. "Dad'll cover it," Dalton mumbled. Ken didn't look up. "You'll pay it out of your own checks. Every dollar." Then he turned to Elias. "You're not going back out to the yard." By closing, the whole crew knew. People started asking Elias about the business he'd run, the jobs he'd bid, how he learned blueprints. He answered every question like nobody had ever bothered to ask before. Dalton didn't lose that bet in 43 minutes. He lost it years earlier. Every morning he walked past a man he never once thought to ask a single question.